All right, hello again, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss. It is Saturday, August 26th of 2023. So wanted to do another podcast with you. You guys know the drill, though. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, the notification button, and the like button if you can. That way you let YouTube know that you like the videos. So the last couple of days been doing some live streams. We had Football Friday live stream yesterday, had a live stream on Thursday. So, more and more live streams as we move on towards the season. For today, wanted to talk about the three games that took place yesterday, and they really were a non-event. And so far, I'm pretty surprised at how few key players are playing in these games. So, I mean, the coaches are really kind of getting the memo now that it's just not worth putting these guys, their key players, in harm's way with the season, 2 weeks away. And tonight we have the Jets game, and a lot has been made about Aaron Rodgers making his first appearance in a preseason game since 2018 with the Jets against a very ferocious Giants pass rush. So that needs to be looked at closely. Hopefully he gets through this game in one piece, and we'll go from there. So, also wanted to talk about some of the lessons I learned during the two drafts that I had so far, because I know a lot of people are drafting after this week, leading up into the season. So there's some trends I noticed, some things that I wanted to pass along to you guys so you're well prepared for your drafts this weekend or throughout the course of the next 2 weeks. So wanted to start off again, just going over the games as we do all the time. Detroit Lions knocked off the Carolina Panthers 26-17. Adam Thielen had a little bit of a scare, went into the 10, came back out for Carolina. But he was okay, no issues there. And really, Thielen had a nice game, 4 catches for 48 yards and a touchdown. And, you look at guys, wide receivers who have scored touchdowns over the last, 5-6 years. Adam Thielen's right there near the top. Even as his overall game has declined, the raw reception totals coming down, his speed declining, he's always been and remains a prime red zone target. And he's going to continue to do that on a Carolina team that is really bereft of targets for the rookie quarterback, Bryce Young. You have Jonathan Mingo, the rookie, but he's going to need to learn the ropes here. And he never even led his college team in receiving. 1 catch for 14 yards. Sleeper alert, Hayden Hurst as a late round tight end. He's been the number one target for Young throughout the course of the offseason, according to the team's beat reporters. So Hurst is somebody, and we all know how rookie quarterbacks tend to focus in on their tight end. So Hayden Hurst is somebody, if you're looking for a backup tight end with some upside, I think Hurst, who's been fairly decent since coming into the NFL, never having justified his first round draft stock, but he's been fairly decent over the years, and I think that he could be an underrated asset this year. Speaking of Bryce Young, 7 of 12, 73 yards and a touchdown. He also picked up 21 yards on the ground. I like Bryce Young a lot. You all know I do like him. Smaller stature notwithstanding, but again, we've seen Drew Brees, we've seen Russell Wilson, we've seen guys like this succeed at the NFL level, that don't have the greatest height. And, Young is incredibly accurate. Really, really smart quarterback, diagnoses defense as well. And he's the total opposite of Anthony Richardson. So Anthony Richardson has the size, has the speed that Young doesn't have. But what Young has over Richardson is a mind to play the position. He's got an excellent release, stance, textbook release, gets it out quickly, diagnoses the defense, knows where he's going with the football, and he puts it right on the numbers almost every time. These are all skills that Anthony Richardson does not have, and I went in on him yesterday. These are the skills that Bryce Young does have, and that speeds up the learning process for Bryce Young, and it will slow it down for Anthony Richardson. So that's something that we need to be aware of. As far as the Lions, I went with Teddy Bridgewater, who's going to be the backup. Nobody really of significance played for Detroit, and as somebody who owns Amon-Ra St. Brown, I was happy to see that they didn't put him out there. The prime Detroit Lion players really did, nothing in this game, which again is just another example of how, things have changed over the years now with these coaches not playing their starters in the third preseason game. So, certainly surprising that we've seen that as we've, gone on into current times compared to the past. Tennessee Titans 23 over the New England Patriots. Patriots only scored 7 points. Bailey Zappi got the start. Mac Jones didn't play. Malik Willis, 2 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Probably going to be the backup over Will Levis. for behind Ryan Tannehill there. Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris, the two backs battling it out to be the backup to Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott. Both guys failed to distinguish themselves, and both of them have really struggled throughout the course of the preseason. That's probably what precipitated the Patriots to bring in Ezekiel Elliott. In terms of Ramondre Stevenson, he had a big preseason week 2 game. As I said many times over, I don't think Elliott's arrival is a major problem for Stevenson in PPR leagues. In standard leagues, it's going to affect his touchdown total, which wasn't even that great to begin with. I still think Dalvin Cook is a bigger problem for Breece Hall, in that setup. Looking at the receiving aspect of things, again, nothing worth mentioning. Nobody really of any significance played in this game as well. And then finally, we had the Los Angeles Rams, 23-12 over the San Francisco 49ers. A couple of things here. So Max Duggan, the rookie from TCU, ran around a little bit, picked up 51 yards on the ground, also threw a touchdown pass. He's got some speed. Brock Purdy did play 5 of 9, 73 yards. Sam Darnold 6 of 11, 89 yards and a score. We all know that they traded Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to go back in on that in a few minutes. Tyrion Davis-Price, who's still with the 49ers. Jordan Mason as well. Both of them averaged over 6 yards per carry. They were very good yesterday to try to get that third spot behind Eli Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey. Joshua Kelly only had 2 carries. One went for a touchdown, 78 yards. So, if you're looking for that backup to Austin Eckler, he's the guy. Quentin Johnston, 2 catches for 15 yards. Brandon Ayuk caught a ball. Deebo Samuel, 2. But overall, really nothing of any significance happening there today. And then we have a bunch of games today, Saturday. So I think really today we just got to get through, in terms of just getting our players to the starting line. I've been saying that all week. We had the little scare with Adam Thielen, but he came out of it okay. No issue there. And so, we just got to get through this last, slate of games there. Just looking at some of the headlines, I don't see anything really worth mentioning other than the Trey Lance situation, which I'm going to talk about now. So a 2024 4th-round pick is all it took for the Dallas Cowboys to secure Trey Lance as their third-string quarterback. So it's really just a project situation. And it's a strange move unless Dallas has some plans for him to use Lance possibly as maybe a goal line back, maybe Taysom Hill role. I mean, I've said this, going back for the better part of a week now. Trey Lance should be converted to some sort of a do-everything weapon. And he, listen, part of the reason we were all attracted to him last summer is because of his running aspect of his game, which is very impressive. And that's what led the 49ers to draft him so highly and give up all that draft capital. But clearly the 49ers admit he's a bust. Very, very significant bust. I mean, he came from a small school. So did Carson Wentz. Wentz had initial success coming from the same North Dakota State program, and then he, quickly crapped the bed from that point to the, So, I mean, that program, and Christian Watson has come from that program. He's been very good. So, in his first go-around in the NFL. But Trey Lance, no doubt, was a big bust. And again, the irony of all ironies, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, is now the starting quarterback. So, just goes to show you that there is still no scientific way to properly evaluate quarterbacks. And all, the famous quote was Mike Holmgren, one of the best talents, eyes for talent in the NFL in the modern era, has said we screw up more times with the quarterback position than any other position by a mile. I mean, they just continue to get the position wrong, evaluating it. It's just a crapshoot. All these busts, these early round busts, of which now Trey Lance is. Again, there's nothing. I'm gonna watch this to see if they do incorporate him in some packages. They have a need for a tight end. I mean, I know they have a bunch of young guys there. Do they make him like a Taysom Hill kind of player? I don't know. I don't think so. But clearly Dallas, there's a reason they gave up a mid-round pick for him. So there's something that, Cooper Rush is the backup who they're happy with. I know Dak Prescott has had some injury issues, but interesting move, sure, to say the least. All right, so drafting lessons that I've learned. So I've done 2 drafts. I'm in 2 leagues. Both drafts are done. I'm pretty happy with both of my teams. And the one thing right off the bat I will say is that I only have one duplicate player, and that's Darren Waller. And I said the only position I want to have a duplicate player is at tight end. I really liked Waller this season. That even goes beyond the fact that I'm a Giants fan. But You want to diversify as many teams as possible. I've said this a million times, nothing new there. 2 teams is always my max. Sometimes I have 3, but I like to have just a concentrated number of players so that way I can focus on Sunday on who my guys are and what they're doing. But there were some other trends that really came up to me during these 2 drafts. The one thing that stood out to me, now, the 3rd round to me was almost like a dead zone overall at receiver and running back. And what I mean by that, not that there was no talent there, but there was a noticeable drop-off from the 1st, 2nd round quality wide receivers, running backs, the real top guys, to that 3rd round with the players that were there. I just really wasn't enamored with. And that's why in both of my leagues, I took a quarterback in the 3rd round. Jalen Hurts in one league, Josh Allen in the other. And that was not the plan going in. Absolutely was not the plan going in. I think the Jonathan Taylor situation, the Josh Jacobs situation, the Breece Hall with Dalvin Cook, the Ramondre Stevenson with Ezekiel Elliott, I think that ruined the 3rd round of drafts, because if not for those moves, I would have taken a Breece Hall in the 3rd round. I would have taken a Ramondre Stevenson in the 3rd round. I would have taken, certainly, Jonathan Taylor would have been a 2nd round pick at worst, and that would have pushed somebody of significance into the 3rd round as a result. Josh Jacobs, same thing. He would have been a 2nd round pick. And would have pushed another player to the 3rd round. So I think all of those situations combined really led to a drop-off in the 3rd round. That's why I took Allen and Hurts there. I was the best player available, the best grade that I had on players available at that point, and I took both of them. So, like this past draft, for instance, I wanted Chris Olave in the 3rd round. He went before I picked. Jahmyr Gibbs was already gone as well. That's somebody I would have possibly considered. Calvin Ridley, he was there, but I figured Josh Allen, there was a chance Ridley would have fallen into the 4th round. Allen would not have. So I made a call there and I took Josh Allen. I had already had A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown in this particular team. So I made the call to go with Allen, and then, 2 picks later, Ridley went off the board. So, listen, I got two top quarterbacks for my teams, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now the flip side of this is Geno Smith. Let's talk about Geno Smith for a minute. I mean, he was a top 5 quarterback last year he wasn't even drafted. Top 5 quarterback. This season has an even more imposing group of receivers as Jackson Smith-Njigba, while he's going to miss the first couple of weeks with a wrist injury, joining Tyler Lockett, joining DK Metcalf. A really good offensive line as well. Two running backs that can help take the pressure off. But in my first draft, a week and a half ago, he went in the last round of the draft, round 16, and this was a 10-team league, so let's call it the end of round 14 if it was a 12-team league, right? In the draft that I just completed, he went in the last round 14. We had a 14-round draft. We had no kickers in defense in this particular league. He went in round 14. So there is no respect for Geno Smith across the fantasy landscape. He continues to go as a very, very late round pick. If you, in a single quarterback league, really want to punt the position, you could go Geno Smith and Tua. I got Tua in the last round of that same league in round 14. So Jordan Love was also drafted in the last round of that draft. So everybody started taking their backup quarterbacks the last 2 rounds. Kyler Murray was drafted in the second to last round. 2 rounds before the end of the draft, Kirk Cousins was taken. So in the last 2-3 rounds of my draft from the other day, Kirk Cousins was drafted, Geno Smith, Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, Kenny Pickett, all of these guys, and Brock Purdy. All of these guys were drafted. I mentioned Tua, right? All of these guys were drafted in the last 3 rounds. So, if in a single quarterback league, if you really want us to push this on the ultimate back burner of the position, you could get, let's say, Kirk Cousins and Tua and just flip them back and forth. You can get Geno Smith and Tua, Geno Smith and Cousins. You can get 2 of those guys and just keep going back and forth. And here's the other thing. People have a good sense of humor. In both of my leagues, Brock Purdy was the last player taken. So the guy who picked last made Brock Purdy Mr. Irrelevant after he was the actual Mr. Irrelevant in the NFL draft. So both, what are the chances, right? So, there was some comic relief there. Although Purdy has, I think, done enough, and he's piloting a very talented offense, and I think it's, not it's totally shocking that he would be drafted. All right, what else did I learn? So Travis Kelce is going to take a mid first round pick, no doubt about it. He went pick number 11 in my draft a few weeks ago. He went pick number 6 in the draft I just had the other day. Wide receivers are dominating the first round. 8 of the 12 picks in my first draft were wideouts. 6 of the 12 and the one I just completed were wideouts in the first round. Cooper Kupp went in the first round in both leagues. Now, I talked to you guys about value at running back. I went value at running back in both of my leagues. And one league I have James Conner, Cam Akers, David Montgomery is my top 3. The other, I have Rachaad White, Aaron Jones, and and Alvin Kamara. So, listen, none of these guys were top-tier guys, but almost all of them, with the exception of Jones, really, are the team's clear primary bell cow back. And there's not a lot of bell cow backs available in today's NFL. But, almost all these guys that I drafted were in the middle rounds, early middle rounds, offering potentially really good value. While those who are spending the freight on Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, if those guys get hurt, you're screwed. If my guys get hurt, it's not so bad because they were later round picks. I've talked to you a lot about how the running back dead zone is no more, and I stand by that. So let's say, all right, so round 5 was generally considered like the running back dead zone prior to this season. So in round 5, let's go round 5, 6, and 7 of the league I just completed. The running backs taken in rounds 5, 6, and 7 in a 12-team PPR league, which I just finished. These were the running backs that were selected. Starting in round 5, Cam Akers went in round 5. Kenneth Walker went in round 5. Round 6 was James Cook, DeAndre Swift, Miles Sanders, Isaiah Pacheco. Round 7 was David Montgomery, Rachaad White, Dalvin Cook. And then let's just stretch it out to round 8. A.J. Dillon, that was a reach. Alvin Kamara was round 8. Javonte Williams, round 8. Brian Robinson, round 8. So, guys, all of those guys, with the exception of A.J. Dillon, I would be interested in owning because of the value. And these guys are going in rounds 5, 6, 7, and 8. Stack up on your wide receivers, all right? And you could get a quarterback and 3 wide receivers or 2 wideouts, a quarterback and a tight end, and then get your running back starting in round 5. It just makes total sense. Now, you want to know about the tight ends, right? So Kelce went in the first round. Mark Andrews went at the end of round 3. Round 4, nobody was drafted in round 4. TJ Hawkinson went at the very first pick of round 5. So that's when you're going to start seeing tight ends really come off the board. George Kittle went early in round 6. I took Darren Waller also in round 6. And Dallas Goedert was the very next pick after I took Darren Waller. Kyle Pitts, where did Kyle Pitts go? Kyle Pitts went in round 8. I know there's a lot of scar tissue when it comes to Kyle Pitts from last season, but, these tight ends are really going round 5, 6, 7. Again, where those running backs I just told you were going. Pat Freiermuth went at the beginning of round 9. So I've said this to you guys. Failing to get Kelce, I wanted Waller. Failing to get Waller, I wanted Freiermuth. Or I'm completely streaming it with, Zach Ertz, Chikozia Okonkwo, those guys. David Njoku went in round 9. Pat Freiermuth went in round 9. The Freiermuth to me is a really, really good value. And, for a guy who gets targeted as often as now I know last year he took a step back with their end zone targets, but I think, his rookie year he was excellent. He's a really dependable piece for Kenny Pickett, who looks really good this preseason as well. So that's another thing that stood out to me. Jahmyr Gibbs went in the 3rd round, the 5th pick of the 3rd round of the draft I just finished. So that's the most up-to-date draft that I've been in. I think he's overpriced in that range. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, we're all excited about him, and the Lions are going to use him liberally in the passing game, but is he going to be a little bit more than a 3rd down back? That's what I'm concerned about. The touchdowns are not going to be there on the ground. That's David Montgomery's territory. All right. And, David Montgomery, in that same draft with Jahmyr Gibbs going in round 3, went in round 7, David Montgomery, and he's going to get the lion's share of touchdowns. So, I'm concerned that Jahmyr Gibbs has gotten a little bit too pricey for my taste, if you ask me. Ramondre Stevenson, the 3rd pick of the 3rd round, his draft cost was, dinged just slightly. He would have been probably mid-2nd round without Ezekiel Elliott. Again, I don't think Elliott's arrival hurts him as much doesn't anywhere nearly hurt him as much in PPR leagues, whereas in a standard league, yes, it does, because he's going to get those goal line backs. James Cook has really risen. He went the 2nd pick in round 6. He's really starting to take off. So if you want James Cook, and I still have my reservations about him getting goal line work, being this lion's share bell cow guy, I'll admit if I'm wrong on this, but I don't see Buffalo fully unleashing him that way, because he's never been that player before, even going back to college. Let me see what else stood out to me in this draft. I think that's pretty much it. It was a fun drafting season. I'm glad it's over. I just want the games now to get here. I'm going to watch the Giants Jets game tonight with an eye on Aaron Rodgers, because I own Garrett Wilson in one of my leagues. I'm hoping Darren Waller doesn't play, because we all know about his injury history. I don't want to see him go down in a meaningless game. We have a Tuesday deadline coming up with Jonathan Taylor. Is he going to get traded? I think it's 50-50. We're hearing Dolphins, Eagles are the only 2 teams really left in the Derby. Buffalo possibly could jump in there. And listen, if Buffalo gets him, you might as well just cut James Cook now. It'll be interesting to see. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of things coming up. So hit that subscribe button, guys. I can't help you if you're not a subscriber. I mean, like I said, anybody who was with me last year, the first year of the channel, knows on Sunday, there could be 20, 25 videos posted throughout the game Sunday when guys go down injured. I immediately come on and tell you what happened, how bad it looked, all of that stuff. So you follow me, you have that notification bell hit, you will get an alert every time a guy goes down. I know there's an app for that everybody uses, the Matthew Berry app, whatever it's called. But it just gives you the bare bones, because they're in such a rush to get it out within 5 seconds. They'll say, Adam Thielen just went down. Well, I wait another couple of seconds, find out exactly, get more clarity on what happened, and then I put the video out. And then I continue to update it. And then Sunday night is the live stream where we discuss all of the injuries, plus all of the performances. We bask in glory of our wins. We cry and scream and curse and shout of our losses. It happens. It's a really good therapeutic live stream Sunday night. It's usually a packed out stream too. So make sure you're a subscriber and you're around for all of that stuff. So all right, guys, that's it for now for today's podcast. Like I said, look for some more videos as we go along. We will chat soon.